topic is actually a life hack. So that's kind of, in general, it's more of like a personal life hack, not so much business or hot topics necessarily. Lighter topic and a good life hack to do, which today's topic is actually on efficiency as it relates to leading a life where we're conscious and we care about our impact on the planet. And, are we actually bringing something positive to the planet, or are we just takers and taking away and not leaving a potential good planet for our future kids and grandkids and all that kind of good stuff. So I'm going to give a little context as to why I picked this life hack to talk about. And this actually goes way back in the day, and I'm going to age myself pretty badly in talking about this. This dates back to my childhood, like before environmentalism was a thing, before green was like a lifestyle. Way back in the day, my dad would actually host environmental fairs at our church, and I would lend a hand, and it really fueled my passion for, just being environmentally conscious, and to the point that I actually went to college initially to a school for specifically in environmental science with the potential chance of becoming an environmental lawyer. I don't know if that's something that a lot of people might know about me or not, but that was actually a part of my life. It was how I spent my freshman year in college, with focused on those studies. Ultimately, I ended up changing directions and got into PR and organizational comm, which led down the road later on to do what I do now as a business woman, and also in working in human resources and recruiting. That's where everything kind of started for me. It's something that I never lost a passion for. As a matter of fact, in college, back in the day when I went to Towson University, again, before recycling was a thing, actually was the first to, one of the projects I did was I put out recycling boxes for paper all over campus. And I think now, like in today's terms, to think that like there wasn't an option to recycle paper even, let alone cans and plastic and all that kind of stuff, it's true. I was actually the first person to kind of take on that project and put out recycling boxes for paper specifically. So flash forward, in 2007, when I went to buy my first home, and I purchased, my first home was a single family home, 2,000 square foot, Cape Cod, and it was built in 1942. And it was kind of like one of these situations where you buy a house and, when you're on the house search and it's your first home, you don't necessarily like think in terms all the time, at least I didn't at the time, about like how environmentally friendly was it? Was it an opportunity to be efficient? And needless to say, you can imagine a house of that age, even though it had been completely redone from top to bottom, it was actually not very efficient. As a matter of fact, I still have nightmares about this to some degree, but as a matter of fact, it was so inefficient that it had a new heat pump system. But again, here in Maryland, we get, negative or below freezing, not negative temperatures, but below freezing temperatures on a regular basis throughout our winter. A heat pump is not efficient. Now, granted, there are systems that help being efficient, but basically a heat pump is just like blowing air over a toaster oven. It's not, there's really no real way to make it super efficient. And I actually would get bills in the coldest months of the year, $600 to $700, because the whole house was 100% electricity. There was no gas. There was no alternative, heating source in the home. So you can imagine it didn't at that point just become for me and my husband at that point about, being environmentally friendly. It was about like, oh my gosh, the cost of electricity is insane. And how do we start to address this? So we made the attempt in that house. We actually installed an awesome and efficient wood pellet stove that kicked out some serious hot air and really helped with those cold winter months in terms of some reduction in the bill. We, made the house as airtight as we possibly could to keep from drafting. We, when we did need to buy appliances, we tried to go with Energy Star appliances. There were certain things we did, but at the end of the day, we even looked into solar when we lived in that house. And the learning experience we had from looking into solar was that you really have to get your overall usage down to make sense of making that decision to go solar. For that to not only be a good financial decision, but for also it to be a good energy decision, because ultimately the goal should be is for you to not only use like to produce enough solar energy so that you are no longer pulling from the grid and from public utility, but to actually feed back into public utility and be a provider of energy back into the grid. So lo and behold, flash forward again, we make the move in 2017 into the home that we live in right now. It is nearly 3 times the size of our previous house. Our great room actually has 30-foot ceilings. And even though the house was only built in 1998, again, this was a situation where the person who built the house was not thinking about efficiency. They were not thinking about how to be environmentally friendly. As a matter of fact, the propane gas furnace that was in this thing, I swear it must have been, it was definitely older than the house. I don't know where the thing even came from. The vents in the great room were in the ceiling, 30 feet above. So I'm sure the ceiling was really warm in our great room, but the rest of the great room was freezing. And so there was just a lot of like nonsense type of decisions like that were put into the house, that we were on a path of going, hey, we bought this fixer-upper. Every single decision we make is going to be based on being able to do something that's efficient. So I'm actually going to kind of walk you through, and I hope that what this can do for you is, if you're somebody who's also environmental conscious and you're about efficiency in terms of saving money, I hope that taking you through this list of things that we did in our home is, one, realizing this doesn't happen overnight. It is not something that you should be like guilt driven into, or to make an assumption that you have to have a lot of money. As a matter of fact, the aim is to be more efficient so that you can save money. And when you make decisions, so for instance, let's say that your home is just due for an upgrade for your HVAC, is to really consider all of your options, with one of your main aims to be efficient, and realize that that's also going to save you money. So it's, it's really, there's no sacrifice. I think a lot of people think, oh, well, to be green, you're going to have to spend the green. Well, no, you actually could potentially save it. A lot of people think like the whole environmental movement is somehow going to like do things like take people's jobs away, or, do bad things for the economy in the world, when actuality, the facts are that that's not true. So I'm hoping that this list of things that we did for our home is something that you can consider doing over time in your own home and your own living situation, that will not only help protect our planet and this one home that we have to live in together, and it can also save you money too. So let me kind of walk you through this list. I've got it over here to my right, so I apologize that I'm going to be reading through it because I don't want to skip anything here. So the first thing that we did in this home is we actually had to replace nearly all of the appliances. So when you're talking about refrigerators, when you're talking about washer and dryer, when you're talking about even from a heating perspective, every single thing that we put into the house was not just Energy Star, but it was like super efficient. So we really made a decision. We also didn't put like we took out nonsense things in our house. So it had like the 1990s intercom system. We took that out. When we replaced any light fixtures outside, we replaced with solar lights. Batteries, we've switched over to rechargeable batteries instead of like constantly throwing batteries away, because anybody with kids knows you're constantly going through batteries. Our security system was high tech in terms of app controlled, smart, and also, a lot of rechargeable battery controlled. So just again, in terms of appliances and systems, full use of technology as often as possible, because guess what, guys? Technology is also a great enabler of efficiency and a great money saver. And now technology does not cost more than like the old manual type of things that you would use. The next big thing that we did was we actually pulled out that old rickety, propane furnace. So that was something that we pulled out. It was a central system. We actually ended up replacing it. We didn't do it right away, but we replaced it in 2 different ways. The thing we did right away was we actually took that same from our old house. We moved it over to our new house. This beast of a wood pellet stove that just produces incredible incredible heat, but it doesn't use a lot of energy, and it literally heats our entire great room, our kitchen, down the hallway, upstairs to the 2nd floor. It really does an incredible job. And the other thing we did was we went with a ductless split unit system, a smart system. So we have LG units. They're wall units. They look nice. They actually are not like an eyesore. They do both heating and air conditioning. They're obviously individually controlled. Everything's controlled through an app. So what's awesome about this is like when we leave our house, we can turn everything off. I jump on the app 30 minutes before we get home, and I turn it on and I adjust to the rooms that we're using, and we only heat and cool the rooms that we're actually using. And that's it. And I can't tell you the huge impact that has had in terms of cost savings and reduction in energy and efficiency. Another thing that we did is that we actually replaced a standard hot water tank to a tankless hot water heater, an A.O. Smith, a fantastic brand. It is super duper efficient. It uses nearly no propane. It uses nearly no electricity. We can operate up to 4 different things at the same time. So we could run our dishes, we could run our laundry, and we could have 2 people taking a shower at the same time. And you will get instant, endless hot water coming out of the system. But I actually think that is one of the biggest reducers that we have had in terms of electricity. Now, do be aware that for a good tankless system, you really want to go make sure it's gas heated. So in our case, that's propane gas. The other part is that you want to make sure it's really not best on a well system. If you do need to put extra filtration on there so that the system can run efficiently, because you don't want to get sediment into the system. We actually ended up switching over to public water anyway at the same time, so that is a non-issue for us. But it's like no maintenance. People think that installing a tankless hot water heater is more complicated than a regular tank. It's not. It's actually practically the same installation. And so that was also a huge thing that we did that reduced costs and also made our home more efficient. One thing that was actually in the house already that also helps with our efficiency is we had skylights. And so our skylights means that we actually do not turn on hardly any lights in our entire home from the time the sun goes up until during the process of sunset. We use very little in terms of lights throughout the house. And it's funny because I'm sure a lot of parents have fights with their kids about leaving lights on, and our kids are just they hardly ever turn them on, so they don't need to know to turn them off. So that was actually a big long-term cost saving opportunity as well. We also ended up, through the course of, as we went through each phase and we were renovating rooms, we actually really took a good look at our electrical panel, looked at our wiring, making sure that we, were setting up things in a way that made sense. Even lighting and things of that nature, we just always constantly paid attention to it and made smart decisions about, again, how can, we of course use high efficiency light bulbs and all of that kind of good stuff. And then of course we also seal up any drafts. So we put at the bottom of our doors during the winter, you have these sand sacks that you can put along the bottom that will keep drafts from going out. And again, it's just all about air tightness in order to save on the cost of heating and air conditioning in your home. So these are all of the things that we've done in our house. Our final step in January, I'm so proud to announce, is that we are finally going solar. So we are going to be installing our solar system. We are looking at being able to do actually a 200% return. In Maryland, they allow for up 200% on the energy that you would use to be fed back into the system, into the grid. And now, not only are we going to substantially reduce our costs, meaning we're going to go from typical cost per watt is about 10 to 14 cents with the power company. And if you're doing a lease system, which we decided to do so that we had free installation, free equipment, free maintenance, we actually are going to still do a lease, which is about 5 to 7 cents per watt. So we're significantly reducing the cost, and we're contributors now. We're not takers. So we're actually feeding in to the grid, and we're helping Maryland strive towards, I believe it's 2040. They're looking to have a certain percentage of the electric is going to be through sustainable means and sustainable resources. So, that's kind of the icing on the cake per se that we're going to do when it comes to energy and becoming more efficient. We're really proud of it. And I will tell you, every single time now when I get our BGE energy report, it's something that I look forward to. It's like looking forward to knowing you're going to get a good report card. And I don't know about you guys, but when I would get the energy report on a monthly basis, there was 3 categories. There was efficient, there was your average neighbor, and then there was your house, and that was at the bottom, and it was letting you know you're, you know, using way more energy than compared to your neighbors. And the idea of like us even getting into efficient in the old house was like unheard of. When we moved into this house and we started to make these changes, all of a sudden, not only were we either minimum at the average, but we were often falling into the efficient category. But in the last, I'd say 6 months plus, we now have a whole new category, and that is your average neighbors, which are, you know, similar square foot home as yours within 3 miles using the same type of heat, to now there's the line about efficient, so that's a top 20%, and then there's us all the way at the top. And that means that we are actually more efficient than the most efficient people that in comparable homes to us. And so it's something that we just really take a lot of pride in. And of course, we are thrilled at the significant reduction in the cost of electricity, especially considering we have a household of 6. You know, we have a high traffic household in terms of like my dad's there most of the time. We have, you know, our home office is there. We love to entertain. All of those things like are obviously things that can cost you more in terms of electricity and utilities in your home. And it just really makes us proud to know that, you know, we've done this and not sacrificed comfort. We haven't sacrificed a ton of money to do these things. We've actually really found cost savings at every step in our journey. So I hope that this tips video, life hack type of situation is something that you're passionate about. If you are passionate about efficiency, if you're passionate about taking care of your planet as much as you are taking care of your home, taking care of your kids, taking care of your community, you know, obviously this isn't a political thing. It's like, hey, you either care or you don't care, right? This is a way I'm hoping you can see these tips are ways that you actually can improve your economy of your life. You can improve your comfort and conveniences and still be really environmentally aware and care about doing better and being more efficient. Thank you so much, everybody, for taking time to listen to this video and watch this video today. Look forward to seeing you guys again in my next video.
Thanks for watching. Below is other videos that you might find interesting. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and also ring that bell for notifications.